How might the world be different if human beings had a 4 to 6 week mating season? The rest of the year nobody cared about sex? When deer enter the rut they go absolutely apeshit. It'd be scary to see what the human race would do during those weeks. My guess is war. We'd probably be more rational the rest of the year, so come mating season there'd be warnings on how to control urges and stay lucid. Advertising would be unrecognizable. It would be much easier to go through puberty. Some major world events probably would never have happened. Wars would be more or less barbaric. Sexual abuse and human trafficking would be a seasonal thing. Relationships and friendship lines would probably blur. Monogamy may not even be the default relationship. Interesting question. All people would have been born over the period of roughly 2 months. So, incredible demand for extra doctors/nurses for the birth season. All birthdays would be celebrated within 2 months. Women taking care of newborns wouldn't be available for work at the same time. So every year the economy could suffer from that. Apart from people taking time off to have sex at the same time of the year, it would be major. Because a 1-5-month mating season results in births 9 months later. And after 1-5 more months you have another mating season, etc. Probably a lot more. Like clothing industry making huge advertising campaigns for baby clothes before the birth season. The same for strollers, cribs, etc. The world would persecute those filthy deviants whose internal clocks didn't align with our official duck month. The economy would be seriously different as everyone takes off 4 to 6 weeks of work at the same time to screw around. Perhaps there'd be a human mating dance or a fixed breeding ground with a mass mating happening. Everyone's birthday would be in the same 2-month time span. Swell. Saves time visiting relatives, lol. Sex shops would pop up for a couple months in giant stores similar to how Halloween stores pop up in September. We would probably have different seasons depending on where you lived. The northern and southern hemisphere would be flipped, and since we are really mixed now it would probably be frowned upon if your neighbors are winter breeders and everyone else is spring breeders. It would also probably be the more strenuous and dangerous time if humans are like other animals and males become more aggressive. Car accidents, fights, murders, etc. Hospitals would have to prepare for both the oncoming mating season and then the birthing season. Farming would have to prepare for the sudden wave of increased population all around the same time every year. I'd also imagine that our population would probably explode, and would have resulted in a lower fertility rate as a species, making miscarriage more common. If we did not develop the lower fertility, then we would probably wreck our species by not being able to produce enough food or support for the population early in our development. It would kinda be the purge where everything else was dropped to focus on just banging. The urge. In nature, are mating seasons always annual? Are they triggered by weather or some kind of internal clock? I'm also wondering how living across the planet in both hemispheres and a diversity of climates might change the mating season. I guess there would be non-solvable problems when it comes to gender equality, as women would be pregnant and give birth in the same period. What about abortion? Birth control? Also, is it just the libido that peaks during mating season, or the whole interest in opposite sex? Like, do we flirt all year, but only have sex during season? Or literally don't make the difference between male and female outside of the season? Lot of questions, but really interesting subject. All these comments are talking about how it would be so much simpler most of the time. But I'm more concerned about what it would be like during the month-long rut. It would be like the purge. Read The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin. Similar stuff and a great book overall. A lot of people would take days off. The rest who'd have to work would, not so, silently hate the lucky ones. Birthdays would be almost meaningless. And people with an unusual birthday would endure a lifetime of jokes about their parents not owning a calendar. Everyone would be more productive, and gold diggers and prostitutes basically wouldn't exist. Also, crime rates would go down by a lot. Remember that episode of Family Guy where they have the Irish history lesson and they show pre-alcohol Dublin as a futuristic utopia? complete with flying cars, total renewable energy, and a healthy, happy society? Kind of like that in The Purge. Due to demand, Chuck E. Cheese parties would be strictly limited to 20-minute slots. In the interest of efficiency, only one candle on the cake with no singing, and guests are permitted to shout 2 hits but no hoorays. Think the run-up to Christmas is bad? It would insane. Marketing for sexy clothes, perfumes, sex toys, etc. would be if the scale in the preceding 2 months. There would be a huge amount of fitness stuff in the 6 months beforehand. All about getting in shape for shagging. And makeover month right before as well. Afterwards there would be a few keep it real all year fitness groups too. The postmenopausal elderly and asexual people would be able to make a fair amount of money babysitting everyone's kids for the period while the parents are off ducking. Oh my goodness, it would be like the animals in nature. Anybody that has deer hunted during the rut, or turkey hunted in the spring, knows that those dudes lose their minds during the mating season. They go from hanging out and being friends to fighting to the sometimes death over females and chasing females all over creation. Wouldn't surprise me if humans did the same thing, lol. The majority of birthdays would fall under just 2 months or so, making for some great seasonal marketing. I would feel ducking blessed. No one harassing me for sex. No one thinking it's normal to harass for sex. A whole year just to myself and my tasks and projects. No pressure to have sex 3. Having worked with lemurs that have such a mating system, here are a few things that may happen. First, things will go nuts during those few weeks. Lots of competition between individuals, propositioning, etc. You might also see gains in weight prior to the mating season, particularly among males, as this will allow you to not worry about food for the time being to focus on getting a mate. Another thing that this would entail is that all kids will be born at the same time. This means that you will likely have increased competition for resources among lactating females. In lemurs this can result in infanticide, where one female will kill another's infant to secure resources that might be a bit extreme in humans. I'd also expect that you'd see changes in social ID, with males and females often segregating into subgroups to reduce intersexual competition. Advertising would be very different if they could only appeal to our sex drive for a fraction of the year. It would be like The Purge. Seriously. Just look up deer ruts and guys would be fighting the whole time. Similar to Christmas carols, we would have mating carols. My neck, my back would probably be the white Christmas of the mating season. Probably less tech advanced. Fewer long-term wars over sex to advance technology. No sex industry to drive forward technology like VCDs. Internet streaming. Live streaming. Cinemax would never be a thing. The societal opinion on survival of the fittest would probably be extreme. I highly doubt that disease-prone or ugly genes would keep getting passed on, because all the fit people would run the mating show like they do with other animal species. Having a series of sturdy deadlocks on your kids' bedroom doors would be seen as responsible parenting, rather than abusive. Porn industry would end. Makeup industry dead. Fashion industry focuses on function. Basically, the patriarchy is smashed. PON Farhood. That would be a wild 6 weeks. The thing is, the health department might have a problem with making sure that all sex is safe sex, especially with personnel being busy mating. Also, no emergency services, and who'll take care of the kids? I think it would drastically reduce women's power in relationships and in America. Remember, traditionally, men are seen as wanting sex all the time, and women are taught to be choosy and to find someone to marry and have a family with. This creates an imbalance in power. If men and women both never wanted sex, I think more friendships would develop, a good thing, and places like bars and nightclubs and other cruisy spots would go bankrupt. Many men buy drinks for ladies with a desire for sex. Not overtly, but subtly. If suddenly men lost the thrill of the biological hunt, the entire social structure would be turned upside down. Also, I think if you only had 4 weeks, there would be a much higher stress on looking your best during those 4 weeks. New Year's resolutions about working out, would be replaced with mating season resolutions. I think if you only had 4 weeks, the competition would be so intense that people would be desperate nympho orgies, while trying to avoid the ugly/fat ones. Sorry for being so graphic and yet true.